We're back with Susan Page. Before break, you did mention Freeze Frame a little bit about that business. Could you tell us more about that business and how you handled running two businesses in two different locations at the same time?
Okay, I'd be happy to. I had a lot of airline miles. I had to go back and forth. It was a decision that my partner and I made at the time to expand. We saw an opportunity. We had an investment partner who wanted to expand quickly. So what maybe I wouldn't have done, this is where another little bit more experience in business would have been wiser to not grow so quickly. But we opened 9 stores in Southern California in 9 months. We opened 3 at once at Christmas of 1989 in major, they call them super regional malls. And we started this business from scratch, absolutely from paper clips all the way up. So it was a really difficult business to learn and to do, especially in a market like California and doing the marketing there. So I could talk to you for 6 hours on what I learned about doing that. But then we decided that we had competition who had taken a lot of the locations across the country. So we decided to expand to Asia. And we started a franchise company up in the midst of all this. Meanwhile, I was going back and forth to Honolulu to take care of Susan Page Modeling. We had a manager who was doing a good job, but you have to come back and forth. So I was doing that, and I had a son who was in school, so we were working that out, and it was a lot. We had to market into a variety of different markets in California. That would be a great case study. I've always said I wanted to write a book about that, but anyway, it was just interesting. And our first franchise was actually a license to franchise was in Tokyo. And that was an interesting education in marketing and culture and many things. Doing business in a foreign country was very fascinating. And then our second one was to Jakarta.
What did you learn about doing business internationally with that company that maybe could help some other people as they're maybe considering the same thing? Well,
in particular, in our experience, the Japanese, first of all, it's very expensive to do business in Japan. And so when they're buying a franchise or a license from you, they're investing a tremendous amount of money. And for marketing wise, I would say that which was interesting to me, they had to pay hundreds and thousands actually of dollars to be in the editorial section of major fashion magazines to be promoted. Well, we would never think of buying an editorial. That's just goes against free speech. I mean, it just is not right. You can't buy an editorial. You can buy an ad, but you can't buy an editorial. They could even buy spots on television programs like, Good Morning Tokyo or something to that effect. And so that was fascinating to me to see how they do business over there. So that was one thing. And of course, the lease rent there in our Tokyo store was $1 million a year.
How big was the space?
It was very small space, probably about maybe 900 square feet. Anyway, it was a small space. And so I think as a business person, I'm not as attentive to detail. The Japanese are very attentive to detail. And so it was very, very interesting to do business with the Japanese.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.